Disclaimer: Chronically Illing Out is a podcast and weekly roundtable discussion that provides a safe space for real chronic illness and mental health conversations by people with lived experience. We are not trained professionals and we do not claim to be. Rather, we discuss our stories and current events to build community and solidarity. Know that you are not alone, and if you are in crisis, call or text 988. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome as you start coming on in. We're going to give our Substack friends here a moment as they start coming on in. It's good to see all of you. I'm Nick Perro. Welcome to Sick of the Shit Publications. And as always, welcome to Monday Morning and Chronically Illing Out with my good friend, Beth Cruz, the Possibilitarian's Light. We'll have Doc Steph Wilson joining us here again shortly. They've got some internet issues going on. She's in a new place and they're setting up a new internet for her. And we'll be down one today with So traveling. She's coming home and she's, I think, on a bus right now going to the airport or in transit. So we're wishing So a safe flight. And we cannot, and I cannot wait to hear about her trip more. And I know she's probably going to talk about it a lot on this week's Time for Life. And so I'm excited to see that. That one's got my mom on there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So good morning, everyone. As I ramble here for just a couple moments, I'm Nick Perro again. This is Chronically Illing Out, and we are joined today by a new friend and someone who I hope to learn from and am excited to meet and talk to. Amelia Hall, who is an accessibility specialist and a member of the chronically ill and disabled community. And I would love for you, I'll let you actually introduce yourself first here, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the world and to our audience so that they get to know who you are. We're going to have a wonderful conversation today. We have some questions already prepared with Amelia, and we're really, really excited to get to talk. And so, Amelia, I'm going to give you the floor, and then Beth and I will reintroduce ourselves to everyone so that Amelia knows who we are. And good morning and welcome, Amelia.
Thank you so much. So like Nick said, I'm Amelia Hall. I have a Substack called Trailblazing with CP. And I do have cerebral palsy, so I am disabled. And in addition to that, I also work as an accessibility specialist. So I teach people about the ADA and disability inclusion and basically how to treat people with disabilities with dignity and respect and things like that. So super happy to be here.
I love that.
We're so glad to have you.
Yeah, Beth, do you want to introduce, as I'm scratching my leg over here and my head's off screen, do you want to introduce yourself this morning and give just a little background to who you are and your connection with the disability and chronic illness community?
Yes, I'm Beth Cruz. I have several chronic illnesses. Fibro, psoriatic arthritis, gouty arthritis, the list goes on and on. And I came on Substack to write and share my story of trauma. And what I ended up doing is hooking up with some great humans here that share a lot of the same issues that I have and who can relate. So, and I am also going to be joining the disability community for democracy in their work. So I'm looking forward to being a part and doing all the things. That's what's going on. Nick, that's it. That's Monday.
Sorry, I had myself muted because I was typing and I didn't want the clicky clacky in the background. We're trying to help Steph get back online if she can. Like I said, her internet's down. They're doing some Wi-Fi swaps at her new place, and so hopefully she's able to come back and join us. If not, we're still going to have a great conversation. And I'm Nick Perro. All of you know me. But for Amelia, I am a disabled Army combat veteran. I suffer from fibromyalgia, radiculopathy, chronic migraines, and other symptoms in that area. I have spondyloarthritis and different things. I live in pain, and it really sucks. And I finally did the radical acceptance thing and decided that this isn't going anywhere, so I either accept it or there's no other path. And so I've been working as much as I can to advocate for myself and for others. I think that there's a lot of issues in our healthcare systems, both the veteran healthcare system and the civilian healthcare systems, that are incredibly damaging to all of us. And I'm proud to say that I get to work alongside my good friends, Steph and Beth. And yay, Steph is back with us. Awesome. I get to work alongside my good friends, Steph and Beth and Soso, to host shows like this and talk openly and create a community around ourselves and our disabilities and our chronic illnesses, and accept that it's okay, that we have them, and what we do to live with them, and how we survive in our individual stories, and how we make life joyful and continue forward. And I'm also really proud to work alongside Naida Green and the Disability Community for Democracy. I'm going to be stepping into Naida. Can I announce what we talked about last week? Say yes in the chat if I can. I'd love to make sure that I can announce this before anything. Okay, awesome. I am going to be stepping into a role on the as the director of framing for the Disability Community for Democracy, and will be framing. I'm framing myself in a beautiful way.
Strike a pose, Nick.
Hold on, I'll strike an even better pose. Listen louder, hear more. You can find it on the Sick of This shop, which is sickofthis.shop, which is now a much shorter URL for all of you. Just sickofthis.shop if you want to get your own t-shirt. But I'm going to be stepping into the director of framing for media operations and outreach to support the growth and expansion of the disability community, so that for democracy, so that we can have a major impact. And Naida and I have been spearheading the efforts around the Olmsted memo that has just come out, that came out a couple weeks ago, and we've been spearheading the efforts on making that visible and the calls to action for Congress. And so really excited to have you here. I hope that gives you a good introduction of who we are. Oh, Doc Steph, can you introduce yourself, my friend?
Oh, yes. I am Stephanie Wilson. I have chronic migraine and chronic fatigue, and I'm in the midst of moving states. And I host Freedom Over Fascism fireside chats, which provide a deep understanding of the human, what we do as humans to get us to this moment. I'm still working on that framing, and I'm still on the great hiatus, but I'm coming back pretty soon, and the framing will be better, and I'll have better words, and I'll have great guests. And now let's talk about me and talk about Amelia.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, Amelia, I'll start off with our first question that we have in our list question, because I think that might be a really good opening for you.
Sure.
To talk about how your life and who you are is. What is something that is most often misunderstood about living with CP?
So I think the biggest thing is that there are a lot of resources for kids with CP, and parents who have kids with CP and things like that. But what often happens is when those kids with CP become adults with CP, the resources fall off the map, and there aren't resources for adults with CP. I do think it's gotten a little bit better over the years, but it's unfortunate that people seem to think that they don't realize that kids with CP become adults with CP. And so there's not a lot of information and support about resources related to, things that you would deal with through aging and things like that. So all the information seems to stop at, 15, 16 years old.
I mean, it would seem like that'd be kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean,
You would think so.
but then again, with a lot of different things like dealing with adults who have something, there's a lot of effort put to the children, like even, adults with autism, with ADHD, with all sorts of, compromised position. I see a pattern, but tell us more.
So, let's see. I think so in relation to my own life, so I had physical therapy from the time I was 2 years old until I was 16. And during that time, I also had multiple surgeries and things like that to enhance my independence and help get me moving and so that I could, exist in the world, things like that. And trying to think. There was so much guidance. I don't fully know this because I was a child and I wasn't my parents, but it seems like there's a lot of information about, okay, how do we support kids with CP? But then, you hit that 18 mark and things change drastically. So for instance, I had Medicaid up until I was 18 because of the fact that I have a disability. And I remember I went and got reevaluated when I was a freshman in college, and they basically came back and said, you're not disabled enough to qualify, which was surprising because I used to walk independently. Now I do use a walker, and for longer distances I use a wheelchair. And so I guess from an outside perspective, I could maybe see why. At the same time, it blows my mind because I've dealt with this my entire life. It's not going away. The pain has gotten worse over time. I experienced chronic pain, and I didn't start experiencing that till I was about 15 or so. But there's no resources on that. There's no, hey, what do we do about this? How do we help people, live better lives and things like that. So it can often feel like you have the support and then you hit a certain age and it just sort of, it's gone, and you have all these questions, but nobody knows the answers.
Wow.
Yeah, somehow that's not as surprising to me as it might be.
No, it's not. It's just so disturbing. It just continues to be so disturbing that we're still here, not knowing how to deal with chronic illnesses that people are suffering from.
And so you became an accessibility specialist, and this is the follow-up that I had on this one was, how has this shaped your view on accessibility and care support for yourself, but also for let's focus on the maybe kids transitioning into adulthood, because
Okay.
that is really often underspoken about.
It is.
And when
Yeah.
when those resources change from your parents' medical insurance to
Hmm.
either not having any or your own, and your parents helping you support you, is how have your views since becoming an adult and growing through that system? How has that shaped your views on accessibility and care support?
So one of the biggest things I have realized over the last probably 5 or 6 years is being disabled is expensive. And
Yes.
I don't know if that's something that people really understand. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. So I have a almost 5-year-old son. And when I was pregnant with my son, I reached a point in my pregnancy where I needed to start using a wheelchair to prevent falls, to just keep me and my son safe, which was fine. And I did that, and went through the process of getting my wheelchair and things like that. At the time, I was living in a house that had stairs outside, but it was one level once you got inside. And I remember talking with medical providers saying, okay, this is my situation. What do you propose we do? And they talked about, there are outside wheelchair lifts that you can install, that will help, that if you have stairs, you can put next to the stairs and you'll be able to get where you need to go, kind of thing. And the big sticking point was, I said, okay, how does that work with insurance? And they said it doesn't. And I said, excuse me? And they said, it's considered a luxury. And I said, you're telling me that it's a luxury for me to be able to get inside my own house? And that was very surprising to me. I was fortunate that I had family around who could assist with that, and we were able to get it in place and things like that. But I do often think about the individuals that don't have those resources. What do those people do? Do they have to say, okay, I yeah. So it just, I didn't realize how expensive living with a disability really is. And I think that's really become more evident to me as I've gotten older, as I've had more specialists that I see, as my mobility needs have changed. It's expensive.
Yeah. I don't have your particular disability, but I did break my ankle when I was 39 weeks pregnant, and also had you know, the what do I do? And luckily I had the resources from, like, I flew my sister-in-law up from a different state and rented her a car and blah, 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 blah. And that took resources that, was something that, obviously not everyone can do. So it's not the same by any means, but I
No.
do
So
recall being, immobile as a pregnant person.
how did that experience help shape the work you're doing now, I guess, as an accessibility specialist?
So I think one of my biggest lessons, so I want to give a little bit of background, just so
Mhm.
people can sort of know how I got to where I did.
Can you
So
also, while you're doing that, just tell us what an accessibility specialist is? Like, what do you do,
sure,
as part of that
sure.
conversation?
So in my role as an accessibility specialist, I teach. So I work for a bank specifically, and I teach employees of the bank about the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. I teach them about disability inclusion, and I give them resources on how to appropriately interact with people with disabilities, which you would think is common sense. You would be surprised. The kind of things that people don't think about. But I focus on making sure that when individuals with disabilities come into the bank, they have accommodations they need. So large print statements, if they get bank statements and they want them in large print, or they want their statements in Braille, or they need a sign language interpreter. There's a myriad of different things. But back to sort of how I got there. So I majored in psychology in college, and always saw myself wanting to be a mental health therapist. I ended up getting my master's in social work. And once I completed that, I did work as a therapist for about a year. And I realized through that work that even though therapy had helped me personally in my life, I realized that I was too empathetic and I brought too much home with me to be the therapist that people needed. And so, after about a year, I kind of, shifted gears a little bit. And, disability has always been something that interested me. I think, obviously, because it's my life, but then obviously, when I was a senior in college, I started speaking to elementary schools around the area and talking to young children about, disabilities and bullying, and how it's important to, accept people who are different from you, things like that. And so what happened is I pivoted into the disability space. I worked for the state as a vocational rehabilitation counselor for 5 years. So in that role, I was helping people with disabilities find employment. And I really enjoyed that, but I quickly realized that being in front of having a public facing job was just very taxing for me in terms of, dealing with the public and things like that. And so, when I wanted to switch things up, I thought, okay, how do I stay in the disability space, but take a bit more of a backseat? And so that's how I ended up in my accessibility role in my current role that I'm in. So I'm still in the disability space, but I don't interact with the public on a daily basis. I'm about 1 or 2 steps removed from that. I obviously still provide expertise and, my guidance and feedback and things like that, but I don't speak directly with the public, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Has that made your work more more enjoyable for you, or has that helped, like, you want to stay doing the work, moving away from the public space a little bit?
Very much. I've always been somebody that wanted to help people. And, obviously I got a degree in psychology. I got a master's in social work. I always thought in my head that helping people had to be very direct. And I didn't realize until I got into the accessibility space that I could still be in the disability field and I could still help people, but I didn't have to do it on the front lines constantly. Because for me, I just realized that wore me out a lot more than I imagined it would. And so, yes, because I've been able to take a step back and I'm a little bit more removed, I'm not nearly as stressed in my current role as I was previously when I was working directly with the public, and that definitely has helped me know that this is something I can stick with for a long period of time because a lot of the stress has been removed, which is awesome.
Good.
That's really great. It's hard to find something where you're doing the thing, reaching the goal that you want to reach without like killing yourself for it.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, what is the thing beyond not being on the first line that you feel is most helpful about what you do? I mean, yeah, what is the most helpful for the
I
greatest number of
understand.
people?
Right.
So are you saying what helps other people the most or what helps me?
Oh, I guess both. I was thinking other people, like what's the most important accessibility uh, mechanism?
Yes.
But
Yep.
I also, it's a really good question, like, for you as well.
For sure. Yep. So I want to touch on probably one of the most important things I've learned about accessibility since I got into the field. And it's that accessibility impacts everyone. I think people have a misconception that accessibility is just for disabled people. But it is not just for disabled people because, if you think about curb cuts in terms of getting off of sidewalks and things like that, that's not just helpful for someone in a wheelchair. That's also helpful for a mom with a stroller. That's helpful for someone who is on crutches for 4 weeks because of a temporary injury. It's helpful for delivery people. It's a wide it's used by a lot more than just people with disabilities. And so I think what I like to remind people is that accessibility benefits everyone. And so because it benefits everyone, we should be building it into systems from the start. And it's mostly not the case. Unfortunately, usually, when accessibility comes into play, people will say, okay, how can we fix this to make it accessible, as opposed to why didn't we make it accessible from the very beginning?
So do people consult you? I worked tangentially with an accessibility consultant who was sight disabled. So he would check various products to see whether the screen readers could read it and whether things were uh, going to work in advance. Is that something that you do, or is that still something that's really just getting started?
So I specialize in physical accessibility. So that is automatic doors, it's sign language interpreters, large print documents, things like that. The team that I am on currently, it shifted in February, but before February, I was part of an accessibility team, and there were other people on the team who did the digital side of accessibility. So they, tested apps with screen readers and websites with screen readers to make sure that, all that was compliant. I don't know if you guys have heard of WCAG before, but those are basically the digital accessibility standards. And so that's what people follow or try to follow when they can. And obviously that's the hope, but someone in the disability space a few years ago talked about the importance of progress over perfection in terms of accessibility, and I really relate to that, and I think it's I think it's a good place to start. And so I think it's always important to talk to people where they are in terms of where they are with their journey with accessibility, and not exactly berate them for, hey, why haven't you done X, Y, and Z thing? But like say, okay, this is where you are. Here are some steps you can take to move slowly in the direction that you want to, because at the end of the day, progress is still progress.
May I
I love that.
ask?
Before you
Sorry,
jump in,
Nick.
sorry, Beth, before you jump in, I just want to say this one thing. It's a quick, I had a colleague at my last company who had a very similar statement. And I just, from when he said that is perfection is the enemy of progress, because it stops us from getting to actually starting.
Right. Yeah. I tell my kid all the time, the perfect is the enemy of the good, but progress over perfection is actually a recovery statement from people with substance, from the recovery
For sure.
community. And I think it works for,
All of
just
us.
about everything. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Beth, I
Amelia,
cut in on you.
that's okay. What is something that is most often misunderstood about living with CP?
I think one thing that's not talked about enough is the chronic pain that can often accompany CP. So like I mentioned earlier, I started having chronic pain when I was 15. I'm in my 30s now. That has obviously continued and has gotten worse as I've gotten older. But I don't think, I don't even know if that's something that people realize is a symptom that people with CP deal with. It does depend on the kind of CP you have. So I specifically have spastic cerebral palsy, which means that my muscles are, so I like to use the analogy of taking a rubber band, right? And if you take a rubber band and you stretch it as far as it possibly can right before it breaks, that is what my muscles feel like 24/7.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
Yeah. So chronic pain is very, very real, and a very common experience for people with CP.
How
But
has
not
that?
but sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a common experience, but it's not something that I don't think it's common knowledge. I don't think it's something that people automatically associate with cerebral palsy, but it is, especially now that I'm in my 30s, it is the most debilitating part of my disability, for sure.
How has that shaped your views about living with CP? Or what? I'm sorry, and your views of accessibility and your care support?
I think, I'm gonna kind of sidestep just a little bit, but I will answer your question.
Sure.
So one of my biggest pet peeves. So I always benefit from, just mainly because I have a walker and I use a wheelchair and things like that. I benefit from accessible parking. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when, people who don't have an accessibility parking placard, park in those spaces and they say, "Oh, I'll just be here for a minute," or
That's
"Oh, I'm waiting,"
inexcusable.
or "I'm waiting on somebody," or like, "Oh, like I'm," and they'll be sitting in the car with the car running, and I think that is my biggest pet peeve. But I think what I've realized over the years is that it's also important to realize that not every disability is visible. Yes, I have a very visible disability, but there are people, walking and talking that you see out in the world that you would have no clue are disabled.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm a prime example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steph.
Sometimes
and-
me.
Yeah. And so I think with that, I've realized that even though that is probably my biggest pet peeve, I also need to be careful with that, because you don't know what people are dealing with. And
Yeah.
somebody could be using that spot, and they could be using that spot because they faint easily if they overexert themselves, and so they don't want to be super far from a building that they're trying to get into, that sort of thing. So that's more of a lesson to myself, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't always need to jump to that conclusion of being frustrated.
I think that's a good
I-
one for all of
Mhm.
us.
All right. Yeah. My parents sometimes talk about how they've forgotten they came to visit and they forgot their placard. And
Mhm.
so, and we didn't park there, but it was certainly a thing where they still can't walk that far, but we didn't have the ability to. But I like without a placard, no, like that for me is like so verboten, like it's inexcusable, but it's not for some people. But yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I
Go ahead, Steph.
and then taking this in a little bit, I hope I'm not detouring us too much, but I would really like to know a little bit more about CP and what's the mechanism and what's the range of how it presents in lots of different people.
Okay.
Is that too far afield?
No, I will give you my best answer. I do want to say I am no expert. I do live with it, but I am only one person, so my experience is only formulated by that. So the thing about CP is you look at it in terms of the parts of the body it impacts, and so for me specifically, CP primarily impacts my legs. And so that's why part of my type of CP is called diplegia, because that signifies, hey, my legs are what's affected. Some people have just their legs affected. Some people have just their upper body affected. Some people have just their right side affected, or just their left side. So it varies. And there are also, the thing about CP is it's a neurodevelopmental disability that primarily impacts mobility and balance. However, there are also, because it's a neuromuscular disability, it can impact basically any muscles in your body. So for instance, there are some people who have difficulty with speech. That they have CP and they have difficulty with speech because of muscles associated with speech and things like that. There are people with CP who have to use assistive communication devices in order to communicate and things like that. There are people who are ambulatory. There are people who are not at all ambulatory. It's a very wide spectrum. And I think you can say this with more than just CP, because I've heard it said about more than just CP, but when you've met one person with cerebral palsy, you've met one person with cerebral palsy. You haven't met the whole community by any stretch of the imagination, and everybody should be treated as their own individual person, and that they have their own lived experience that is their own. So I hope that helps a little bit.
No, I had the
It
same
does for me.
question. So yeah, that was
I think
helpful.
that's really a good way to remember it too, is if you've met one person with any of our disabilities too, is you've only met one. Like we are a very, very diverse group, no matter what. Like our disabilities present differently, our conditions have shades of the same presentations, but aren't always the same. And yeah, I love you've gotten a lot of response in the chats on the like, we love the compassion and the just thoughtfulness of how you approach accessibility, and the reminder that it is broader than just the disability community that accessibility benefits. Because, and we say it a lot too, is accessibility is for everybody.
Yes.
Accessibility makes everybody's life more accessible and more equitable. And that's really where we should be going, because I think we've at least from a policy side or whatever side in our country, we've always focused on equality, but we've never really focused on the equity aspect of it, and how equality doesn't actually provide the structure needed for everyone to have an accessible path to freedom or self-determination or care. And we're seeing those being attacked in different ways or regressed in different ways. But I wanted to comment on your rubber band comment that you made, because
I did too.
I wrote a poem a while ago about this exact feeling, and I would love to read it. Because it, like I said at the beginning, I have radiculopathy on my left side that goes from roughly here midsection down my entire left side, and it's either in a lightning pain or it feels like a rubber band. And so I've described the way that my tendons and ligaments feel when they snap. And they do the snapback, and it's never the same. So this is a short poem, but I wanted to read it because I think it really fits into what you were talking about. It's been a while since I've read this one, folks, so just give me a second. This is actually this is the third one in the Fibro series that I had started. It's called A Rubber Band Too Tight. Okay, here we go. Let me get back to it. Drop the link in the chat if anyone wants to go like and share that one. I'd love for the poems to come back. I've got to find some time to write some more. Okay, so a rubber band too tight, like a band of rubber pulled too tight, snapping pain to keep you up at night. Snapping pain, like a band of rubber stretched too long, slipping back but never quite so strong. Sliding off, like a band of rubber worn with tears so thin, skipping on gaps with a catch to begin. Skipping on, like a band of rubber, pulling, catching, jolting, never quite the same, skipping, slipping, sliding, worn with overuse, tearing, stretching, rubbing, frayed on edges smooth, popping, popping, popping.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I felt that.
Beautiful, Nick.
I felt that. When you described that, what I experience is like, I can describe it as somebody's ripping my tendons from my ligaments. It just feels like, and I have that daily, and in different degrees. Some days are better, but it's never gone. And I think people don't understand that kind of pain unless you experience it. It's terrible. That's the only way I can describe it. It's just a ripping. Rubber band is perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was
Thanks for sharing.
perfect.
And so I wanted to shift as we get towards the end of our discussion. Is I think this is a really important question that we had put together for you, and you had given me feedback on this one, was around Substack and your publication. And we've talked a little bit in the background. And like I said before the show, is whatever resources and support I can provide to boost your work and what you're doing, I would love to. I have really enjoyed getting to talk with you today, and I'd love to have you back too for more discussions.
Thank you.
What is something that you're most passionate about, that you want to be reflected by your Substack publication, and what is the goal for your Substack? How do you want to use it to how do you want to use it to its fullest?
So this is very broad, but my main goal is disability inclusion and educating people about disabilities, but also helping people see that disability is a normal part of the human experience. It's not something to shy away from. It's not something to push to the side. It's something that needs to be talked about. You know, one of the Substack pieces that I wrote is titled "It's Time That We Talk About Disability," and it's around it's specifically around the importance of talking with young children about disability and explaining what differences look like and things like that. And so that's very broad in terms of my goal. I also am in the process of writing a essay collection of basically what it's like to live with CP, that, you know, talks about my different experiences, you know, ranging from my childhood experiences to, you know, what did adolescence and college look like, to I became a parent, and what does it mean to be a parent and have a physical disability, things like that. So I think my biggest goal is to get as much awareness around disability in general, but also CP as I possibly can. And it took me a long time to actually accept the fact that I have a very, very important message to share with people. And I want as many people to hear that as humanly possible. And I have always been most comfortable with writing. I've been a writer ever since I was a kid. And so obviously the hope is to hopefully write a book. But at the same time, I also, I love doing things like this. It's a great way for me to spread awareness and things like that. So my main goal is visibility, to be honest.
I love that.
Wonderful.
Well,
I do too.
whatever we can do to help. I know I've read through pieces that you've been putting out. I love the collaboration that you're doing with others and boosting others' work and having them write and tell their own stories. And I think that's wonderful. And one easy thing that we can do as creators in this community to help not just Amelia, but others that we find really incredible who want to get these stories out and want to have visibility, is if you're a creator on Substack, you can cross post articles and not repost, but actually cross post them, where it cross posts them in their original with just a little blurb at the top from you, and drives all of the traffic directly to the original creator who put it out, and bring real visibility without having to really put your own spin or added visibility into it, and just drive traffic for each other. So when I see things, I will start also cross posting on my platform so that we can get this visibility out for each other. And it's a small thing we can do that is freely collaborative, and brings new people into each other's audiences. And that's what we're trying to do here. This is a space for collaboration over competition, because when we all succeed, we all succeed. And
yes,
none of us want to be billionaires. None of us want that side of it. We just want to succeed and be comfortable and have our basic needs met and be able to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, that whole pursuit of happiness thing is we want that. And so come help us pursue happiness with each other, like help us pursue life and If you haven't already hit the subscribe button in the top corner of the screen, make sure you subscribe to Amelia. And you would get Steph, myself, and Amelia. Beth is missing only because Substack limits us to 3 creators per per live, which is really a limiting functionality. Substack, you regressed on that feature set because it used to be we could invite as many as we wanted, and that was really inclusive of you, but now you have excluded so that we cannot do the same anymore. Substack, I'm calling you out on that, and I will continue to say it because it sucks. It's stupid.
Do better.
Do better.
And also, they don't
better.
work well with others, and they need to do
Yeah.
better on that too.
Yeah, and please add a disability community, like a disabilities
Yes.
category Substack.
Yes.
Like, I know Naida has been talking about that a lot. I think we all need to be talking about that more. Is there's no specific category on Substack for disabilities. There are mental health categories, there's wellness, but there's no specific category for those of us with disabilities. And those of us
And we
who
need to
are-
find each other.
yeah, who are geared
Right.
towards disability writing and visibility and accessibility and this community. It would be cool, Substack, if you weren't ableist and you added in a disability section so that we could more easily find ourselves and y'all could more easily find us too.
Stare.
Stare at you, Substack. No, sirs. No, sirs, ma'ams, and others who are there in Substack. You will not make us invisible.
Nope.
And so we are right at the top, almost right at the top of the hour. We've got about 4 minutes left. What we're going to do here is we've got a slightly different transition today for our meditation. This one is a watch and listen again, as always, but there's no words today. There's no words today. This one is music. It is beautiful, cute animals. We're going to have just a wonderful little, because this has been a wonderful conversation and we love to start our days and our week on such a positive note. That's why I do this first thing in the morning on Mondays, is because it lets me start my week on a really high note and with really incredible people. And so thank you, Amelia, for being here.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Thank you for
Thank
teaching.
you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. I've learned a lot today.
Yes.
And I'm very appreciative that you came on with us. So thank you so much. And make sure, smash the heart, everyone. If you can, smash that heart, hit the subscribe, listen in as we do our newest meditation of music and pictures only today. This one's going to be
This
fun.
is critters. Make sure and
This
do
is
your
critters.
your breaths in the beginning.
Yep.
While the
Breathe.
title's on, 3 deep breaths. No Beth talking today because Beth was painting rocks. So guilty.
Beth was painting
Guilty.
a broken M&M, screaming, "Ah, my legs!"
I
That
was.
was the best.
I was. And I laughed
That
through
was
the
the
whole
best.
thing.
Okay. See y'all on the flip side here. Don't forget to stay so that we can do our final promotions at the end and let people know where to find each other. So please stay with us. We will be back in just over 3 minutes of some incredible pictures and music this morning. Thanks so much, Beth.
It was
That's
fun.
awesome.
That was cute.
Mm.
Amelia, I'd love to start with you as we get to this final part of this, which is promoting ourselves and where people can find you, the work that you're doing. I have a QR code up here that leads to your Substack, so anyone can scan it if they want. But Amelia, give a final promotion for yourself today.
Yep. So I am on Substack. My Substack is Trailblazing with CP. The CP stands for cerebral palsy. I write about living with a disability and being a parent with a disability to a kiddo with autism, and all sorts of different stuff. Like I said, I'm working on writing a memoir as well. If you want to follow along on that journey, I'd really enjoy having you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. And thank you for accepting my invite. And I think it was NeuroD in the chat. I think NeuroD was the one who introduced me to you, who tagged me in a post. And if it was, thank you so much. If it wasn't, thank you to whoever it was that did, because I'm really appreciative of finding Amelia and seeing the work that she's doing. So please go support her, go subscribe to her. Paid or free subscriptions. I don't know if you have paid subscriptions open, but if you can.
I do, yes.
Okay, awesome.
But
if you can, help support her work.
Either one is great.
Help support her work however you can. We know times are tough and rough right now for a lot of us. We're all trying to work through it. So support those that you can, and support those that you know who are doing incredible work. And Amelia, thank you. Thank you for being here with us. This has been so much fun. Yes. I love the hearts. We get the hearts that come out.
Love the heart. Love the hearts.
Oh, Steph's works today too. Yeah.
Yo, look at it.
Oh, I love
I
it.
know, and I'm on the laptop too, so hey.
Yay.
Hey, look at that. Okay, here we go. Is Beth, we have something new for your QR code today. I did it, folks. I did it.
Yay.
Got the new image up for Beth. Please go
Thank
subscribe
you.
to my friend. Beth, promote yourself too.
Please come and support me. I've been doing all, and I'd love for you to join me on this journey. I'm writing. I'm now painting. My memoir has kind of been pushed aside for more important things, more volunteer work, and I'm just really excited to be here. So thank you. It just brings me joy that you guys love it. So.
Thanks, Beth. Love having you here. Love to you too, my
Brings
friend.
me joy.
Brings me joy.
I love you guys. Love you so
Steph,
much.
How about you, my friend?
So, hi, I have a show and podcast, Freedom Over Fascism, that most of you know about. And I use the tools of curiosity to understand how power and the human nature affect our reality. And I'm looking for new ways to talk about that every time. So that's why you'll hear me do different comments on what it is. Great hiatus will end soon. And I would love it if you would come check out my page, freedomoverfascism.us. There's a lot of conversations on there that are always relevant. I don't do breaking news stuff. And welcome. And if you can subscribe for your paid, great. And I hope to see you later.
I love it.
There we go.
Things are slow on my side to load. Sorry
This
about
guy.
that. This guy. Thanks, Steph.
This guy.
Love it. I love having you here, Doc Steph. I love having your friendship. Thank you. And your insights are wonderful. And I'm excited that you're finally feeling settled in a little bit more.
This is such a great group.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing to do.
Great group.
Yeah. And then finally, come here and support me at Sick of This Shit Publications. We are now officially past the 1 year mark of me losing having my job phased out from the last company. because I was outspoken and all I was asking for was a team, and they refused to give me one. And they kept firing my team without telling me. And so
Sorry, not sorry.
sorry, not sorry that I'm
Sorry,
here.
sorry. So glad you're here.
I am glad I'm here too, because in the end, what it did was it freed my voice and it let me help find who I am and what I really am passionate about and what I've always wanted to do, which is connect people and build bridges and close those gaps. And I did that work as a DevOps engineer for software development. And now I get to do that work here with my friends and in a more visible way, because I was tired of being invisible. And so I'm here. And so we've made this incredible journey together. I couldn't have done it without any of you. Like I literally could not do this work without you guys in any way, shape, or form. It's amazing the help my friends, Beth and Steph and So have given me, my other friends in the background, all of this community. Like, this is why I'm here. I've been listening louder so that I can hear more. And I hope y'all continue to trust and build this community with me, so that we can collaborate with each other rather than compete and build a better, more visible society for ourselves. So please come support Sick of the Shit publications if you can, paid or free. And you'll see me later today, if you're catching this live, on 2 more shows, with Shane Urich for Palin Talk as we talk techno-fascism, and right after with Naida Green as we interview the Oklahoma senatorial candidate, which we're very excited about, on the Disability Community for Democracy's Nothing About Us platform. Nothing About Us Without Us. And I'm so excited to be there for that. So everyone, go have a great day. Go enjoy the sun if you can. If the weather's nice and not oppressively hot where you're at, try and go outside and touch some grass in whatever way you can. Get off the screen a little bit. Have some
It didn't
fun.
go so well. It didn't go so well.
And like I love to say here at the end of all of our shows before we go is, we're done being sick of this shit. So now we're doing this shit. So have a great day, everyone. Amelia, thank you so very much for being with us today. Really appreciate it. Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week for another Chronically Yelling Out. Have a great day, friends.